Now, back by popular demand, it's the Lance Roberts Show.
And welcome to this morning's edition of the show. It is Friday Eve as we get ready to conclude the week. You know, this whole week is just, have you noticed this whole week I've just been counting down towards the weekend? It's like...
Do you have plans?
I do. It's Super Bowl weekend, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, but...
some game being played.
Yeah, it's some game. You know, it's funny, too, because if you read a lot of the polls and stuff, there's a lot of people that are rooting for the Patriots not to win, simply because they're just tired of the Patriots.
Just because they're the Patriots.
It's too much winning. They're just too much winning. So
you're going to get sick of winning.
Absolutely. Like I said before, love them or hate them, you got to appreciate the Patriots.
Hey,
I mean, when you
they're a
have
machine.
the team, because you remember growing up, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had Bradshaw and Lynn Swann and I mean, just Mean Joe Green, and I mean, it was the team, and they were unbeatable.
Yep.
But like in everything, everybody, I guess, wants something different. So root for the underdog. That's this weekend. But no, actually, I leave tomorrow for Vancouver. This is going to be.
What were you thinking?
I don't know.
It's January.
It's January in Vancouver. This polar vortex is still going on. They were talking about Chicago, that it was negative 21 degree wind chill. Now, that is only 6 degrees warmer than the all-time low record of negative 27 in Chicago.
And the surface of Mars.
But, hey, 6 degrees, it's really a lot warmer. So... But I thought that the story was, I thought it was interesting is, they're talking about how bad the freeze is, right? Don't walk outside and breathe in deeply because it could harm you, right? You can die, get frostbite in minutes.
Fast freeze your trachea.
Exactly. So you can get frostbite in just literally minutes. It's so cold. And the headline was, Chicago is urging residents to turn down their heaters at night to conserve natural gas. It should be 55 degrees or colder in your house.
55?
That's what they're saying. They say, turn your thermostats down at night to 55. I'm sitting there going, man, it's negative 27 outside. The inside of my house is going to be like the surface of the sun.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, hey, look, my heart goes out to you. If you're one of our listeners up in the Midwest and Northeast, I certainly feel for you. After being trapped in a blizzard for 6 hours over the Christmas break, I feel for you. And we weren't even close. It was 2 degrees in the blizzard. I can't even imagine sub-zero degrees. It just is beyond my imagination. So, but I do feel for you. So,
that's why we don't live anywhere north of the San Jacinto River.
Exactly. So anyway, in my brilliance, I am flying to Vancouver this weekend. I'm the keynote speaker at the huge Money Talk. They have a huge Money Talk conference every year in Canada in Vancouver. I'm the keynote speaker this year to talk about markets and Powell and all this stuff. So
is this the Canadian version of Woods Hole?
This is the Canadian version of Woodstock for money.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. We will be posting the entire presentation online next week, so you'll have a copy of that as well, and we'd certainly encourage you to watch it. I put a lot of time into it, so I think you'll like it. But anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about today. Michael Leibowitz will be joining us here at 6:30 to talk all about Fed. That was the big news yesterday. Jerome Powell completely just caving into the markets, and much more so than people expected that he would actually. Everybody kind of expected him to wuss out and cave. But this was actually to such a degree that it actually shocked and surprised just about everyone, in that term. So we're going to talk about that at 6:30 today. We do have a lot of other headlines to get into as well. A lot of stuff happening overseas yesterday, and of course the China trade talks. This is the big thing right now, which is now that the Fed is out of the way, the focus is going to turn over to China and trade. And of course, as we discussed a little bit earlier this week, a couple of the interesting issues that are kind of surrounding this is this all revolves back to the transfer of intellectual property, technology, etc., which is something that China is going to be very unwilling to give much on. And this is going to be part of the big trade talks. The other problem now is, of course, this arrest of the CFO of Hawaii Technologies, and of course her potential extradition. She is likely to become a pawn within this whole negotiation at this point. So we'll see how this all works out, but it's going to be very interesting to watch. There's about 3 different outcomes really to be looking for here. One is absolutely no deal. Everybody walks away upset, and that is going to potentially kind of rock the market. So markets aren't going to like that. The one issue kind of hanging over a lot of corporate earnings over the course of the last couple of weeks as they've been announcing is this issue of trade and tariffs that are impacting profitability for corporations. The second option is really no deal getting done, but the promise of more talks. That is probably the highest probability of an outcome from this, is that it'll be just another agreement to talk more about this. No real change to anything, but that will appease the markets to some degree that at least progress is being made. And then, of course, the most unlikely outcome, but a possibility, is a complete trade talk agreement with negotiations on internet transfer technology. That is a very low probability event, but again, we have to put it out there because it is possible that a miracle does occur, and the North Star was out last night, so we'll see if that works out. Very quickly, yesterday we did add some exposure to portfolios because we've been talking about this recent. If you're watching our live stream right now, by the way, you can see the charts. If not, you can get our video podcast right after the show is posted here online, and you can actually see this chart that I'm talking about on the screen right now. But we added some exposure to the portfolios yesterday. We've talked about this consolidation that the markets had been in, of course, over the last really couple of weeks here after this big rally from the bottom of the markets on Christmas Eve. We started consolidating sideways along the 50-day moving average. A lot of support there for stocks. We actually broke out of that yesterday. This now sets the market up for an advance up to the 200-day moving average before we get to the next big level of resistance. So we did add some exposure yesterday for this rally. We'll be reducing that exposure as we get closer to the next major level of resistance. We are a long way from actually recovering what is the damage that's been done technically to the market. So again, as we've talked about, you want to be a little bit cautious with 401k plans. The positive trend is still in place, but markets don't go straight up all year long. So we're likely going to get to the point in the next few weeks that either something geopolitically happens or a lot of this economic data we've seen coming in showing weakness and a slowing down in the economy is likely going to start weighing on outlooks for stocks and earnings going into later this year. Consumer confidence, one of the big drivers of the stock market, has had the sharpest decline of any pre-recessionary period that we've seen historically. So again, the impact to consumers, which is 70% of the economy, is starting to show signs of weakness, and that has a lot to do with a lot of the trade and tensions that have been going on within the overall economy. So you're seeing people just pull back here a bit. Of course, also rising interest rates impacting consumers who have very little discretionary income. That's beginning to impact consumer spending as well. Of course, big component of our actual economic growth. So anyway, positive bull market right now. Keep that in mind. Upside here is somewhat limited, but you can take advantage of it. Just be a little bit cautious here, and we'll just keep kind of updating you as we go along. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back. I got a lot of other stories to get into this morning. If you want to join the show, feel free to give us a call, 281-558-5738, or get by our website at lancerobertsshow.com and get our latest podcasts, videos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get notified of all of our podcasts every day. We have one that just released yesterday with Carolyn Baum. We've got another one coming out next week about why retirees should worry about bear markets. That's all on our website at lancerobertsshow.com. We'll be right back.
Want a longer talk with Lance about your money? Request a personal one-on-one at lancerobertsshow.com.